Are 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And this is Python's Paradise, your film and music show. And this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I've had a lot of the Friday the 13th alumni on here, but today marks the first time I've had one back twice. And I know I'm going to have a few of them that's going to be back twice, but this one came up real sudden, and I was quite excited because she mentioned she had a new project coming up, and I've been promoting Texas Frightmare, which is coming up, and so I thought I'm going to have this lovely lady come back on the show again and talk about her new project and see how she's doing. We all know she's wonderful. I have the beautiful, talented Debi Sue Voorhees. How do you do, Debi?
I'm terrific. Thank you so much for having me back.
I'm more than happy. It wasn't until that you mentioned you had a new project, not just keyed in on me like, yeah, let's see if she'll come back, and
Yes.
yeah, works out fine. I'm always welcome to, always open to having people back, and regardless of what they're promoting.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting because I made a little discovery recently. It actually involves you, and I thought and I didn't find out today who had done it, and I was like, a Canadian did this. There's a comedian named John LaJoie.
Oh, yes. I know. I got to meet him. He's wonderful.
And I think he's very, very funny. I've never seen his concert, but I'd love to. But I love his music, and I didn't know this till today because I saw the video. I think it was on Melanie Kinnaman's Facebook page, and I didn't know who had done it. And I discovered just before I called you now, John LaJoie did a video called A New Beginning. And it's about how he lost his innocence watching A New Beginning. And watching the video, it's about two kids. I guess one of them's representing him, watching watching A New Beginning. And it's replaying in his mind the scene of you and Robert out getting nude where you're not supposed to be. And I can kind of get where somebody would lose their innocence seeing that, because I'm reminded, of course, when I first saw Friday the 13th Part 2 when I was a young teenager, and she became the first nude female I'd seen. And that was Part 2. So I imagine he had the same experience, only it was you.
Right.
So did you not see that video?
Oh, I have. I am so impressed by it. I absolutely love it. I love the storyline of the young boy, and, kind of, really too young to see the film. And, still in that age of, ooh, yucky girls, but then there's still something that's kind of like, oh, maybe not so yucky. I wonder why not so yucky now. And then kind of the horror when he just starts to get a crush and then I'm murdered.
Yeah.
And, he grew up in a very religious background, and so he had a lot of issues going on, with feeling like he had sinned by even seeing it. And I think he did a brilliant job. He's an amazing musician, songwriter, filmmaker. He's got some incredibly funny pieces on the internet. I think he's amazingly talented. I was really lucky I got to meet him when I went to Los Angeles, and I really want to work with him on something. I'd love to cast him in a role.
John LaJoie, I didn't know he was in L.A.
Yeah, he sure is.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and he's Canadian.
He was on he was one of the leads on the League, the TV series, the one about the fantasy football league.
Oh, okay.
I think what is it, like 7 years, or may have been longer. He's been on there a long time.
Okay.
So, and he's got an incredible YouTube following too.
Yeah, he does. I've seen a lot of his videos too, like Song for Britney and yeah, and all kinds of stuff. I think he's very funny. I don't know how it is I discovered him either, but I like his videos, and I think
Yeah.
he's a very
I
funny
like
guy.
his comic spoof. He's got this terrific comic spoof about, guns don't kill people. I kill people with guns.
Oh, that's right. Do you ever see the ones where he's just talking he's got one called I think it's called Rapist Van or something like that, or one called Pedophile Beards.
Yeah, no, he's hysterical. He just really gets out there and, he's got one about big game hunting that's hysterical. He has a big giant stuffed tiger. And, oh, yeah, he's hysterical.
Yeah, and one of them that is really funny is the one he does about people being gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
I love his stuff.
the expressions he has on his face when he does these. Like, I think he's hysterical. I think John LaJoie is like just one of the most talented Canadian comics ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just comics, period. He's just so talented.
Yeah.
And
No,
he's a really nice man. He's very kind.
I have got to get him on the show, and I did
Yeah.
not know until just before I called you that he's the one that did that.
Yes.
I did not know that. So I just
Yeah.
knew that about 10 minutes ago before I called you. It's like, wow. And I had no idea that was him. And that's a pretty
Yeah.
serious video too.
Oh, yeah, no, it's extremely well done. And the kid who plays him as a child, I think is just amazing. He's so realistic. You feel everything that the kid is feeling. He's just, yeah. I felt so bad that I caused him so much trauma. Poor guy.
What was
But
it
then
like?
I ended up getting a chance to chat with Edgar Wright as well, because he had a similar experience.
With
So he sent a note to John, and then John sent me a note. He goes, "You won't believe who just sent me a note." And he said, Edgar Wright. I go, "Oh, man, I want to say hi to him."
Edgar Wright did some great stuff. I love Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah.
What a
I
great
love
movie.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun
and
of the
then that
Dead,
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
And
he's
that one there, The
brilliant.
World's End.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's brilliant.
I think Edgar Wright is brilliant, but
funny.
I gotta say my personal favorite, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I just thought that was so great. That was so awesome. But wow, Edgar Wright saw A New Beginning, and he also had an experience involving you.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I was just so completely honored.
Well, I'm glad you're taking it that way. It's strange because with me, it was Kirsten Baker in part 2, because that was the first one I saw, and that was the first. It's weird the Friday the 13th movie's doing this to us young
Yeah.
people.
Well, it kind of makes sense because they really are, kind of like a teenage phenomenon. Very often, it is the first time that a young boy sees a woman naked. And so, boys are boys. That's, a significant thing for them. So,
Yeah.
I can understand.
Yeah. Well, what was it like when you met John LaJoie? Like, explain, give me the walkthrough how that went. Where was it at, and how was the approach?
I met him at a restaurant in just outside of Los Angeles as I was leaving, and he was just very kind.
Did he recognize you?
I was excited to meet him, and I really hadn't watched the league, so I didn't know a whole lot about him, except I just absolutely loved his music video and what he had done with it. So I wanted to sit down and visit with him, and he just was this completely unpretentious, just I don't know, gentle eyes, very, very kind. I was incredibly impressed with him as a human being.
So, did he recognize you?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Did. Yeah,
Wow.
and in fact, when I saw it, because I had fan after fan sending it to me. Have you seen this? Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
And so I messaged him and just say thank you, that I thought he did a brilliant job and everything. And then he let me know that he was actually in Los Angeles. And I said, well, I'm coming out there to meet with my composer and a producer out there. And I said, I'm hoping that I can meet with you. And I was having to do a little bit of juggling, and he was very patient and, met with me. And it was really lovely. It was really wonderful.
Wow, that is interesting, and
Hmm.
because I was just kind of looking up a little bit of stuff on you before I called you, and I just kind of
Hmm.
clicked on a new beginning on Wikipedia, and I noticed that little blur there at the bottom. I was like, that was John LaJoie. And like, wow, like I never knew, and I watched that because I know Melanie Kinnaman had posted that, and I thought
Right.
it was about her, but no, it was about you.
Yeah.
No, but hey. There you go. But
Yeah.
yeah, well, maybe you got to get him in a film.
I agree. I just love him.
There you go. Yeah. Wow. And Edgar
Yeah.
Wright. Edgar Wright. Did he say what did he say? Did he message you?
Yeah. Well, I messaged him and I said, then he messaged me back, and then we chatted via the private message thing for a while, and it was really nice. And he was in England at the time, but he spends time between London and Los Angeles, and we agreed, when we're both in Los Angeles to meet. So.
Hey, maybe he'll put you in a film. That would be good for
Well,
you.
I don't want to be put in a film. I'm on the other side of the camera now.
Oh, come
But
on,
I would love to have him
Debbie.
as a director on a film I produce.
Come on, Debbie, your fans, the ones that are calling you all the time, they're the one they want you on front of the camera.
uh, I think if I could zip back to 20s or 30s, yes, but we all move on. Age takes us with it, whether we like it or not, which I actually don't mind at all. I think it's a lovely thing.
Well, you know what? I say that a lot of women have aged very, very nicely.
Hmm.
I got no complaints. I mean, I always tell Melanie every Friday, I always tell her to have a great weekend. I always call her beautiful, gorgeous Melanie.
Hmm.
And I think she seems to like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah. But yeah, if it makes her day, then it makes my day. So there you go.
Good.
Yeah. But I am going to say though, you do have you got Texas Frightmare coming up, and
I do.
yeah, and boy, this sounds exciting. I wish I could be there, but not able to. But I know I've known about it for a while. I guess they're doing a big thing for Suspiria there, and I interviewed one of the cast members for that film for its 40th anniversary, which was exciting, and
Oh, neat.
yeah. And I know I've interviewed Tiffany Helm, aka Violet, and
Hmm.
yeah, and I had her on here, and of course Melanie Kinnaman I've had on here. Now I'm to understand that's you and Melanie and John Shepard going to be at Texas Frightmare, huh?
Oh, I didn't know John was coming. That's terrific.
Oh yeah, the less talkative version of Tommy
Yeah,
Jarvis.
I really like John very much.
Yeah, yeah. John supposed to be there. I know Mel had posted something about that and said she hadn't seen him in a while. So
Hmm.
there you go. But yeah, I guess it's the three of you. I don't know if anybody else is going to be there or not. Wouldn't it be
Hmm.
great though if Carol Locatel showed up with her nice brand of stew, her soup?
Yes.
It has a special ingredient in it.
Right, right.
Yeah. No, so is this your first convention?
Actually, I've been to one other, um, but that was several years ago. And so I'm excited about going. I'm really excited about showing uh, my new film there. Um, and I have one of the lead actress and her daughter who played her in the film as a child is going to be there, and some friends of mine are going to join me there because I used to work at the Dallas Morning News and the Fort Worth Star Telegram. So I have some friends up there I'm going to visit with, and very excited about that. And I'm a bit nervous about trying to show Catching Up because it's not your traditional horror film, but it's about the socialite who is fascinated with the idea of murder. Well, she is supposed to, she's a volunteer, and she's supposed to be helping to reintegrate this ex-con back into society, but her little fascination really prevents her from doing much good. And so it's a dark comedy. It's from a playwright out of New York.
What's the film
His name's
called?
Tom Syme. Pardon me?
Yeah, what's the film called?
Catching Up.
Catching Up. Okay. All
Uh-huh.
right. All right. And you directed this,
And
huh?
I did. And, what I was looking for in this particular film was to take a stage production and put it on film. So it's very much an art film, and but it's a dark comedy. I just had a preview of it a couple nights ago, and I was very, very pleased because the response was very good. There's a lot of laughing and a lot of clapping and stuff, which, music to my ears. So I'm hoping that it will have a good audience at Texas Frightmare that can appreciate it. It's it does involve murder and stuff, but it's not your traditional horror film kind of thing. It's a dark comedy.
Well, there's
So.
nothing wrong with that. Dark comedies work. I mean, look at Evil Dead 2 or Tucker and Dale
Mhm.
versus Evil, or even the Edgar Wright movies that we were previously talking about,
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, those have like more like the violence and stuff that people are kind of accustomed to, that go with it. 'Cause I think something like that would work brilliantly. I would love to do. In fact, I'm talking with a man right now who wrote a script about the Reaper that I'm really drawn to, and it's a spoof.
Okay.
And something just right up the alley of like Edgar Wright or something like that. It's just, yeah, it's really good. And so, something like that I think would go over very well. So we'll see how this one does. I was really excited to see so many people respond so well to it. So that's always a good feeling.
Yeah. So,
But it's definitely a stage production, put on film. So, it has that kind of pacing that comes with a stage production, but everybody seemed to be perfectly happy with that.
okay.
So they really like the characters because the characters are pretty whacked.
Okay, let's talk. But before we talk any more detail, what was it like for you? Like, I know you've acted in a number of films, like Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, and Avenging Angel, and Innocent
Hmm.
Prey. And what was it like for you to get behind the camera?
Oh, it was pretty much miraculous. I absolutely love being behind the camera. Being in front of the camera, I mean, to me is very stressful. Um, the director has more to worry about, and it's the toughest job on the set because there's so much going on and you have to juggle everybody from all the different departments. And, you've got a lot of pressure on you to make the right decisions about, you have your own ideas and then people bring forth ideas. And the director's responsibility is to make sure that you use the right combination to, make the scene work, to make the film work. And you've got to take it all the way through editing. It's incredibly demanding job. And so in that way, it's by far the most difficult job. But that being said, I think the hardest job is the actor on the set, because the actor has to be able to get in front of that camera and be natural and sell it, sell the story. And so there's a lot of pressure on the actors to do well. And so I have a great deal of respect. I'm glad that I spent some time acting because it helps me to understand what they're going through, and it helps me to understand the importance of helping an actor through their process. When I was on a film called 4 Years, it was with PJ Souls. My male lead was really, he was very, very helpful in that I was very nervous. It was one of my first films, and I had to deliver a line where the camera was like almost in my face. And it was really nervous about it and everything. And he could tell. And to help me give the performance that I needed to at that moment, he just took a little lemon seed and put it out on his tongue. That made me just kind of, smile, endearingly at him because I thought it was cute and funny. But it helped me to, just to give a really natural moment there, and it worked out perfectly. And that taught me so much. It made me realize how important it is for the director to really help the actor to get to the space that he or she needs to be. And, whether that's if they need to be angry and they're having a hard time getting there, helping by pissing them off, and, I tell them beforehand, I'm going to do this, but it's going to be to help you. And they're like, okay. So they expect it and they understand that. But, or if they, whatever it is, the emotion that they need, because on camera, it really has to be so, so natural. Because if the actor doesn't sell it, it just falls flat. And I love working with actors, and I love to see their passion and, to help them give the kind of performance that they really want to give.
Well, I gotta say, I love PJ Souls. You brought her name up.
Yeah.
I love PJ.
Me too.
You mentioned working with actors. It's interesting because in Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, you of course, as we talked earlier about the music video, you're of course nude in that big scene when you die, and of course
Right.
you of course have the camera full on you. So of course, you do understand what the actors are going through and whatnot. I don't know if I asked you this in the last interview. It kind of escapes me now, but how did you mentally prepare yourself for that?
Well, Robert and I, we met a few days before we were going to meet on set, just, so we were at least somewhat familiar with each other before going on. It is a stressful situation when you're doing something like that. And, but Danny Steinman was really helpful on that. He made sure that only the people that needed to be there were on set. And, he was just real respectful and, helped out, to make things run smoothly. And, he understood that, actors have, to have a difficult job. And you just have to kind of, put blinders on and, walk forward and just get the job done kind of thing. If you think about everything that's going on around you, it can, really get nerve-wracking. And it's difficult to do that because, in a stage production, somebody's up on the stage and they have an opportunity to move through their character kind of in a very natural arc because they're going from beginning to end. In filmmaking, you're all over the place, and so you have to, they're shooting the scenes out of order. And so you have to really keep track of where you are and what's going on and what's happening. And so you really have to, and you have to put the blinders on because there's nothing natural about it. On the stage, you can kind of get lost. You get the lights on. You can't really see the audience. But in film, the camera's right there, the crew's right there. Everything's there that tells you that none of this is real. And so that's a big order for an actor, to have to handle.
Well, that's quite a thing, though, that the fact you experienced that, I think is a major thing to bring to your new film. I'm sorry, was it called Catching Up?
Catching Up.
Okay, mm-hmm. Catching Up, okay. Bring to that. Now, since I have not seen this film, we're going to talk about the actors in it because there's no real listing of it here online, not that I've seen. So let's talk about how many actors do you have in this? First off, how long's the film? Is it like a standard 90-minute film?
It's 40 minutes.
Okay,
okay. The lead female, her name is Molly Wickwire Sante.
Okay.
She's absolutely brilliant. I told her to play the role as though she's at a cocktail party.
Okay.
And what's happening is she goes to meet Fred. Her film role, his name is Sally. So Sally is the socialite, and she goes to meet him where he's living after he's newly gotten out of prison, and she's just supposed to help him adapt. But instead of really being there and taking care of him, she's very narcissistic, so everything that happens really becomes about her. And then Jeremiah Z. Wood, he plays the role of Fred, the young man that gets out of prison, and he really comes off as this kind of, I guess, man-child would be a good way to explain it. And I'm really pleased with what we have on the screen at this point with both of them. They had just really kind of bizarre, contrasting personalities and contrasting characters that I think really made the film work. It does, like I said, it has that pacing of the theater. So, I don't know if you've ever spent time watching stage productions, but they have a different feel to them. I covered them forever, and so that's why I was really interested in kind of melding the two worlds together. But yeah, I think they both did a brilliant job. We had a handful of other characters in there, but really it is about their relationship at his place. It all takes, for the most part, it all takes place in other than a brief introduction of the two characters and stuff, it all takes place in one day.
It's interesting you brought up you directed her to act like she's at a cocktail party and approaching him. It reminded me of Dustin Hoffman, how he was directed in The Graduate, because there's a scene in The Graduate where he has to get a room. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Buck Henry, the screenwriter, is the guy that is behind the counter. And, of course, Buck Henry suspects him of foul play. And he was instructed to address Buck Henry as if he was at a pharmacy trying to get condoms. And that
interesting. Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting because Dustin Hoffman plays it just like
Right.
that little nervousness, to get the room, and
Mhm.
feeling under pressure about it. So when you mentioned
Right.
her to play like she was at a cocktail party, that kind of put in my mind, that's an interesting way to direct a scene. I think that's terrific, and I think it really brings some great results.
In this particular situation, I felt like it really worked well because she has this very witty dialogue where she, uh, in the way she presents herself and the things she says that sound very much like somebody trying to impress an audience, trying to make them laugh. And so I felt like for her, that would be, a cocktail situation, a cocktail party.
Okay, yeah. So these two actors are how are they feeling about this? Was this their first film?
It was for Jeremiah, and I believe it was Molly's first full-on lead, although she's done a lot of stage work. Um, I would have to actually ask her about that. She had done film, though. And, it was an intense set. It was a lot of fun in some ways. It was also intense. There was, some a bit of conflict between the two leads, but it really, I think, just added to the whole atmosphere that this ex-con meeting this socialite who's basically had everything she's ever wanted in her life, and she just becomes. It's like she's done everything. She's been everywhere. The only thing she really hasn't seen is that underbelly, that seedy side of life, and she's just so curious. I mean, at one point she's like, "So, was this one of those impulsive things, or did you plan it?" She really really wants to know about what happened, in his particular case.
And of course
Wants to know about the murder.
he wants to move on, huh?
Yeah, and he's also, because she is so fascinated by it, he's a little freaked out. It's like, okay, it's a matter of you're looking at this, and it's really for the audience to decide is who's the biggest, who's the wackiest. Is it the ex-con or the socialite?
Well, you described him as a man-child. Now, what do you mean by that in relation to the film?
No, I'm not talking about the actor. I'm talking about
No, that's what I
character.
mean, the character. I mean, not the actor. Yeah.
Yeah. A man child, I would say, is somebody who's fully grown but still has thoughts and behavior that typically are associated with a child. He is, he a little bit of that arrested development kind of thing.
Okay.
He was a young man when he committed his crime, and he's been in prison for 10 years. And coming out, he hasn't had that time in the world to mature.
Okay. And this woman is not exactly bringing that out the best, is she?
No. No. In fact, I showed two of my films. I had another short that I did where I did the final death scene in Shakespeare's Othello, and I made Iago a female and made her a ghost so that it was more like Othello's conscience was, talking him into committing that final murder. And, he wasn't aware that anything was there, but all the things she was saying and things were really, getting to him. And so I called it the Night of Naughty Women because Sally is so bad. And then Molly as Iago was so brilliant. I really want to use her in another film as, the evil one, because she's just so brilliant at it.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll see more of her in the future. I'm kind of curious. I don't know. I don't know this Yeah, I don't know this actress, but I'm very intrigued of what you've described so far.
Yeah, yeah. I loved her performance because she could really change on a dime. And it was just like, for a moment you think she's one way, and then you think she's another way, and then you're like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, there's this, what makes it such a dark comedy is that there's this, all this talk about murder and what it would be like and things, but in a very natural, past the salt kind of way, and that I think that's what really kind of brings out that the dark comedy part of it is that, for these two characters, it's just is. It's not, it's not like in some movies where people are whispering about it. It's just, it is what it is.
Okay.
And I think that's what makes it so comedic.
Okay. So this is screened already once, and you had a great response to that. Were you had mentioned that you were nervous going into it, but I guess when people react the way you were hoping, I guess that takes a lot of that burden off. Are you anticipating the same thing at Texas Frightmare with your film?
I sure hope so. I sure hope so. Like I said, this is really an art film, and so it's not done in the way a traditional film is done. It has its own. It's a when somebody makes a one of a kind piece of art, that's what it is. It doesn't fall in line with the way other films are done. I didn't follow basically that formula that will work and the visualness of it that takes you through a story. I followed a theatrical stage production, which is completely different. And so yeah, I think that's what I'm nervous the most about. If I had taken and done the script, I could have used the same script and made it more in the format of a film. I don't think I would be that nervous about it. But because I didn't, it's not going to, let's just say it won't fall in the normal expectations that people are accustomed to seeing in a film. And, but I was so happy, to hear people laughing, and not a little, a lot. Like at the end of it, I have this one final poignant moment, and, the credits start to roll, and then I get this one more final moment, and people were laughing and clapping so loud, they totally missed it. They didn't hear it at all. And I was perfectly okay with that. I was like, that's okay. I'm good. It would have been nice if they had heard it, but it's so much nicer that they were so excited about it. And I heard one woman, she got up and she just very loudly exclaimed, she goes, I absolutely loved it. I was just like, it made my heart feel so much better because I was nervous. It's hard. You're taking your baby and something that you're putting out there. And I had given it to my film composer, whom he's absolutely amazing. He's done like 660 films. He's a European composer who's just moved to Los Angeles. And, one of the first things he tells me, he goes, this isn't funny. This is really upsetting. I'm like, oh dear, it's supposed to be funny. It could be very well be a cultural thing, but definitely people were laughing. One woman came up to me and she said, she was talking about how much she loved it, and she said, I was really kind of nervous about laughing because I kept chuckling inside. And she said, because it just seems so inappropriate to laugh at this.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally somebody in the audience laughed, and then she just was so happy because then she could just let it out. And she's like, okay, somebody else is finding this funny too.
Wow.
I said, no, it's a dark comedy. It's meant to be funny, but it is in a dark way.
Wow. Do you think when you screen it at Texas Frightmare, do you think Melanie and John are going to see it?
I have no idea. It would be nice. That would be lovely. I would certainly be honored if they did, but I'm sure they're going to also be very busy signing autographs and doing their own things, so they may not have time, but it would certainly be lovely.
Yeah. Wow, your film sounds really exciting. Now, is that going to get released on Blu-ray?
I thought I would just put it up on like Vimeo or something for people, to be able, they have that, pay per view kind of thing. I was thinking something along that line. When you do a Blu-ray and DVDs and stuff, you really have to do the large printout, because if you just burn a DVD, that not all players can read it.
Oh, okay.
Some players will be able to, some won't, and that just gets so complicated unless you can actually, instead of burning it, you stamp it. And that's how Hollywood films do it.
Oh, okay.
And then those all players can use, but you have to have, large limited runs and things like that. So that makes it really difficult for small films like this. But
yeah.
Hopefully people will respond to it and choose to get it online.
I really get that too, because I saw a film over the weekend called Maudie, which was shot in Nova Scotia, which is very, very close by us here in New Brunswick, and it had Sally Hawkins and Ethan Hawke in it, and it was kind of cool. It was shot so close to here, but I gotta wonder, will that actually play in the States, and will these people give it a chance? And
right.
And that's always kind of frustrating, because I'm one of these people that waits a long time before I see a hype film. I enjoyed I enjoyed Logan, but I didn't.
Right.
I saw it on its last run at the theater. It was a 4:00 p.m. show, and it was the last showing of it. That was when I saw it. And then there's films like Kong Skull Island, which I wish I did not see. But I tend to like going to a lot of the smaller films, because I find that's where a lot of creativity lies, and where people.
Oh, wonderful!
Oh, yeah. Like I went to.
You might like this then. I'll keep my fingers crossed that you do. It's actually in black and white.
Okay.
I was going to do just very desaturated, but the dialogue and stuff was so fantastical that, to me, that going into the fantasy world of black and white, because obviously nothing is truly black and white, so in and of itself, it has to be a fantasy world, really suited it and fit with it. So, but yeah, if you'll remind me at the end, I'll give you a link and everything and a password to take a look at it.
Yeah, we could we could do that online. We don't want to do it over the air, of course, but
right.
Yeah, but I'd love to check out your film. And I got nothing against black and white. My first midnight film back in 1996 was a black and white film. That was Psycho.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So nothing against black and white. I think it can be definitely used in very, very artistic manners. So
right. I think there's some films that it really just suits. I mean, can you imagine Young Frankenstein in color? It just wouldn't work.
No, that is, to me, Mel Brooks's best film right there, Young Frankenstein.
I love that film.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I absolutely adore it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I mean, it's just everything about it is so brilliantly done. Every moment, every shot, everything is just perfectly done.
I think the scene that I laugh at the hardest is Gene Hackman's cameo as Blind Hermit.
Oh yeah,
Where they make
yeah.
fun of
It,
Bride and
it
Frankenstein, yeah.
yeah. No, he's just yeah. It's just a terrific film.
And
And there's so many like that they just it's meant to be black and white.
yep.
Like I said, I had planned on doing mine heavily desaturated, but once I got into the editing room and started working on the color, and we had beautiful color. It really turned out really lovely. Um, but when I got in there, it was just like, nope, that's all wrong. It's got to go. It's got to go. And I tried lots of different things, just to do, a muted tones and that sort of thing. But nope, it needed to be black and white. End of discussion.
So, what's up next for you?
Well, I am looking at a couple more scripts. I am working on writing a ghost script, one that will definitely be, a traditional style scary movie. And I'm also have a couple of screenplays that I'm looking at to do, just, one of those terrific, heartwarming, lovely family films that everybody in the family can sit down and watch together.
You mean like Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly.
That's family friendly. Just ask John LaJoie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and there were, a lot of young boys. It was their first introduction to watching a movie with dad. It was like a secret from mom. They don't tell mom we're going to watch this, kind of thing. And so it was, for a lot of young men, it was a bonding moment and stuff, And I think, the horror films. And I had a hard time understanding them for a long time because I know I told you that I'm an incredible chicken, and I truly get scared.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that, no, I'm scared. It really scares me. And, I think I'm finally starting to understand that attraction to the horror films. It's a safe scare. Nothing's really bad going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And but then I also, just an intellectual level, I think it's a way for people to deal with the whole concept of death in a fun way. For me, it's hard for me to have fun in a scary movie because it's just too scary for me. And, I don't like haunted houses at all. No, thank you, no.
It's fun.
I have no desire to go into a haunted house.
Since I talked to you last, I actually got to see Avenging Angel, which
yeah.
And it's funny because I've interviewed Betsy Russell on here, and I discovered the other day I interviewed Barry Pearl, who because he played Duty in Grease, and I was looking at stuff on him online before I called him, and it's like he was Johnny Glitter in Avenging Angel.
Yeah.
That's weird stuff I just find out just before I call somebody,
Right.
Yeah, but
I really enjoyed working on that set. That was a fun set. And Betsy was so nice. She was easy to work with, and yeah, it was a good. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
It was nice because we were working right on the streets of Hollywood, and that was fun.
Oh yeah. Wow. So after this Texas Frightmare, you've got a couple more projects coming up, and
right. I've got to settle on. I'm talking with a screenwriter who's done the family film that I'm interested in, and if we can come up with an agreement, I would like to shoot that this year, and then I have my own script, the ghost story that I'm looking at, and It that one's kind of tailored after. It has some of the flavor and the influence of. Have you ever seen The Bad Seed from the 50s?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I
Oh, yeah.
love that movie. I think that's a terrific movie.
You weren't scared of that?
No, it doesn't. That didn't scare me. I guess if the killer was after the little girl, it would scare me. But with the little girl being the killer, it didn't scare me. I was fascinated that the sweet-looking little blonde was this killer.
Yeah,
And
I won't give
I
away
liked her.
I won't give away the ending, but boy, did she ever get hers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
I remember that film.
Yeah, it was really well done. I would love to one day redo that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would.
with Shavar Ross.
Oh, he's such a nice man. Yeah.
Oh, I've tried to reach out to a bunch of New Beginning people. I've reached out to Shavar. I've reached out to oh gee, who else? Robert, and I've reached out to Ron Sloan, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll try them again. I'm gonna say, listen, I interviewed 3 lovely ladies from that movie. Quit chickening out. So I don't know. I don't know how often they check their stuff, but
Right.
I'm very
Maybe not very often.
I'm very fortunate for the people I have connected with, and I'm quite honored to have you on here a second time. Wow,
Thank you.
yeah, and one more thing about Texas Frightmare, like
Hmm.
I don't know if I even asked you this before, but I've asked a few people, guests that go to these conventions. Is there anything unusual or unique you've ever been asked to sign?
Can you say that one more time? I didn't catch the last part of the question.
Like, if you've ever been asked to, like, anything unusual or unique that's been brought to you to sign?
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. I've had
Okay.
actors come on here and they'd say, well, it's interesting. They'll ask me to sign their skin, and the next thing I know, they have my autograph tattooed on them.
Oh, no, and as far as I know, that hasn't happened. That would be funny.
Yeah.
I have such bad handwriting, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So, no, I can't say anything too unusual. I have signed people's skin before, but I didn't really think of that as unusual. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I mean, it's usually, just posters and photos and, DVDs and stuff like that. So, yeah, no, I can't think of anything really unusual. T-shirts, I've done that, stuff like that.
You go cast any of the New Beginning people, or even Betsy Russell or PJ Souls in one of your movies?
I hadn't really thought about that. But, yeah, no, it'd be cool.
I think that would be great, yeah.
Yeah.
Giving some ideas there. Well, yeah. Well, I really hope your movie Catching Up. It's called Catching Up. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope it does well for you, and I hope
Thank you.
and I hope it allows you to explore this even further, and
Thank you.
yeah, and maybe even get to even bigger projects.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but yeah, when you go to Texas Frightmare, you'll have to tell beautiful Melanie that I said hello.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Yep, I always say nice things to her online, so it makes her day, makes my day.
Nice.
Yeah. Now John Shepard, I've never communicated with before, so I don't even know if he's on Facebook. So
Yeah. He's a really nice man. He's very intelligent, very thoughtful. I like him.
yeah, so I guess he's gonna be there. So I guess there's 3 of you from A New Beginning supposed to be there.
Well, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that John's going to be there. That's just terrific.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know who else is supposed to be there, but I've never been to one of these conventions before. I think it would be cool to go.
Hmm.
Yeah, and meet some of the cool people I've interviewed.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, do you want me to message you or something about the link and password for your?
Yes, do.
Oh,
And yeah, I'll get that to you.
yeah, and I'll do that maybe on Facebook. I'll do that, and yeah,
So
'cause
does New Brunswick have a horror festival?
well, the only thing I know of we have is the Silver Wave Film Festival in November. We have that here in Fredericton, but we haven't had a big guest here since I think Joe Medjuk in 2002, and I get
Oh, I see. I
yeah,
was thinking like a horror convention kind of thing.
it would be
Yeah, like
it would be
that.
great to have something like that. I don't know, maybe
Hmm.
Halifax might have something, but for me,
Right.
it's kind of lost on me. You know,
All right.
I'm lucky to be able to do this, and this is just a dream to be able to. If somebody told me way back in junior high when I first saw New Beginning, that I was going to be talking to three of the cast members, not just three of the cast members, but three of the beautiful women from the film, I would never believe them.
Oh, that's funny.
And just think of the effect you had on Edgar Wright and John LaJoie.
I know. Is that awesome or what?
That is pretty fantastic. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate your time. It's been lovely chatting with you again, and I will definitely tell Melanie that you said hello.
Yeah, you tell her that. And yes, I sent your interview out to you too. That just get up on YouTube.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah, I sent that out. Yeah.
My internet is down at the moment, so I can only pick things up on my phone, and I can't watch it or hear it right now. But I'm hoping they're going to have it fixed shortly. They're talking about 2 weeks. I'm like, what?
Oh, wow. Well, Melanie liked it.
I work out of my house.
Yeah. Well, Melanie pressed like on it, so so there you go.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Before you go, would you do a plug for my show?
Sure.
Yeah. Just like before, just state your name and say you're listening to Python's Paradise with Greg Gilbert, and I'm in New Brunswick, Canada, of course.
All right. We're going to write this down because I'll trip over my tongue if I don't. I'm a reader. I remember I had to do this last time.
Yeah.
I wrote it down. It's like, I'm a writer. I am not a...
You got some beautiful weather there in New Mexico?
Oh, it's gorgeous right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been there.
Oh, my gosh. It's just lovely. How about I'm speaking with the fabulous?
Okay, you do be creative.
You'll take that.
Yep, I'll take that.
On Python Paradise out of New Brunswick, Canada. Okay, we'll try that. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Hi, this is Deborah Voorhees from Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, and I am speaking with the fabulous Greg Gilbert on Python Paradise out of New Brunswick, Canada.
You got to come down here and visit us sometime, Debbie.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be so cool. That's why I was asking if there were any horror conventions up there. I thought, if I could get up there to go check one of those out, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, you know what? I wish you best of luck on catching up.
Thank you.
And hope you catch up well with John and Melanie. And yeah, and next time, like I said, anytime you get a project come up, you know where to go to get it promoted.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you.
They'll open that door right up for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Very, very well. Now I bid you a good day, and now you can go off and message Edgar Wright and John LaJoie.
Okay. Take care, Greg.
God bless you,
Talk to you
Debbie Sue.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.